All right, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name's Kyle, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite ticker symbols to trade, which is TQQQ. So I am by no means suggesting anybody invest a substantial amount of their portfolio into something like TQQQ. Check out my other video where I show a swing trading strategy, which shows you how to try and determine where the momentum is in the NASDAQ and then be long in TQQQ during those times. But this video is going to be more just about what is TQQQ, what stocks make up TQQQ, and how does it relate to the NASDAQ 100 in terms of returns. Sometimes it performs a little bit differently in times of volatility versus low volatility. So you can see the allocation over here. It's dominated by a couple big stocks, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, making up about 1/3. You have another third in the other category, 29%. And then you can see Facebook, Google. So I've got the top 20 called out here on this graph. So what TQQQ is trying to do is achieve 3 times the daily return of the NASDAQ 100. So there's a couple key things there. 3 times the daily return. So that doesn't necessarily mean the annual return or the return over, a weekly time frame. It's only talking about the daily return. And so in order to do that, they're going to have to reposition the fund. And depending on the amount of volatility in the market at that time, that's going to make the index of TQQQ track a little bit differently than maybe we would expect it to based on the returns of the NASDAQ 100. So the first thing that we need to understand is that TQQQ is trying to get 3 times the expected return of the NASDAQ. But what we want to look at here is the times that it doesn't really do that. And sometimes it will outperform 3 times what the NASDAQ return is, and other times it does not perform as well. So this graph here shows a comparison between TQQQ and the returns of QQQ from the year previous. So the white line is TQQQ. So anytime this white line, anytime it kind of looks like a snow cap here, is when TQQQ is outperforming 3 times what the annual return of QQQ would be. Now, that is by no means a fair comparison because of the effects of compounding. So really the effect of compounding and the effect of volatility and the resizing of this fund are going to be why it has a little bit different performance than what you might just expect. Let's look at the period right in the recovery from after the 2009 financial crisis. And when you're looking at this graph, if this yellow line is above 0%, so it's outperforming that 3 times. So pretty much it's sitting up here pretty high. You can see TQQQ's performance is doing really well. And in this time, we pretty much had just straight bullish momentum. So that's where you get the compounding of that leverage, and that drives a really, really fantastic performance. So over 100% for a lot of this time period. Then when we have 2015 to 2016, we've got a very volatile period. So a lot of sideways action, and you can see that TQQQ really gets beaten up during this time. It doesn't fare as well as the NASDAQ in general. And so in this time period, you're not really getting the risk to reward that you really deserve for holding something this risky. But when the momentum is there, it performs really, really well. So in the time period right after the 2016 election, you can see substantial outperformance by TQQQ, where you had a 400% increase from about the time period of March 2016, right before there was a pretty big correction in January that occurred. And then we'll take a look at that. But that was about a 400% increase in TQQQ and a 76% increase in NASDAQ. And then when we move over to that volatility that started in January down to the correction in December from the Fed tightening, then you can see, kind of one of the dangers of holding TQQQ. So during this time period, where we bottomed in December, you had a 41% drawdown in TQQQ as opposed to over the same time period, only a 11% drawdown in the Qs. So one of the most important things that I want to get across in this video is that TQQQ is not necessarily a great long-term hold, but being in the right time and taking the right amount of risk with this instrument, I think can provide really, really fantastic results. And that's what I want you to look at my other video on the TQQQ swing trading strategy. It's a very basic Heikinashi strategy. It actually flashed a buy right before election day, and then we had this really tremendous rally. So I've been long that. Going into the weekend, we didn't know who the winner of the election was. We now know that Biden's been pronounced the president-elect. So I think the position was up like almost 25% at one point in time. And then here on the close on Monday, it's up at around 14% on where I entered, which was around 124. There was some pretty good selling here on Monday, and we could get a sell signal tomorrow. So a couple key takeaways on TQQQ. I think that this is a really great instrument to use when you have really good bullish momentum in the tech stocks. Tech stocks have been fantastic investments over the last 10 years at least, and look like their outlook is still really positive, as a lot of these tech stocks are now becoming almost like utility stocks, where they are so heavily ingrained in the infrastructure of how we do business. So I think that NASDAQ 100 should be part of just about any long-term allocation strategy. TQQQ, on the other hand, probably not ideal for a long-term buy and hold, but if you can use it when the momentum is really good, really bullish momentum, it can really amplify the gains that you're getting from tech stocks. So I use it as a way to add exposure to the broad technology sector in addition to my individual stock picks. And then I just do it carefully and use the strategy that I've mentioned several times in my other video to try and determine when we're in an ideal setup. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. And let me know your comments on TQQQ. So what do you think about this? Do you trade it? Do you hold it for a long term? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.